Hey y'all, welcome back to Shoni D Handmade. And today we're going to talk about starting your journey to becoming a crocheter. I'm going to hit 4 points. We're going to talk about choosing your materials, beginning with a slip knot, holding your yarn in tension, and chaining. So, 4 things we're going to talk about today. And so, let's get started. First, we're going to talk about choosing your materials. Now, we know that crochet is a yarn and hook, but how do we choose what yarn and what size hook um, we're going to use in order to learn or to choose a project? So, first off, what you want to do is find a good yarn to practice with. Most tutorials start with a medium for worsted weight yarn, and a recommended hook according to the yarn size. So, for instance, here is a example of a 4 worsted weight yarn. Now we know that this is a size 4 yarn because here it says a number 4 medium, which is usually a worsted weight. And here, the little hook that's shaped like a crochet hook right here says the hook size. So we have a size 4 worsted weight yarn. What's recommended for crocheting, which is a hook, is a 5.5 millimeter hook or a US I9. And I have one right here with me, 5.5 millimeter hook I9. Okay. Let me show you what another worsted weight yarn may look like, because that's one brand. Let's say most people get Red Heart brand, and the label looks like this. So when you go to your yarn store, you go to your craft store, you're looking for a worsted weight yarn. It's going to say 4 medium. This is the weight of the yarn. And here is a crochet hook that says 5.5 millimeter US I9. Okay, same information. Now, if you see something like this with two needles, that's for knitting. But if you're crocheting, you're using a hook, which is one tool. Let me show you a different weight so that you know what a 4 does not look like. So I have here a size 3 yarn. This is a lightweight yarn, what they would call a DK yarn. And the recommended hook size for that is right here, a 4 millimeter USG 6. Oh no, yeah, USG 6 right here. Light, this would be a 3, and this right here is a 4 millimeter USG 6. Okay, so this is how you know that this is not worsted weight. This is a DK weight, a lightweight yarn. I'll go ahead and add on to my Instagram and maybe in the community post a chart that helps you to recognize the different weights of yarn. But today we're going to be working with a size 4 worsted weight medium yarn. Okay, now let's get started. Our projects mostly begin with a slip knot. Okay, most tutorials that you pick up on will tell you to begin with a slip knot to start um, your project, and let me show you how you create a slip knot. Now, this is the easiest way that I can show you from the way that I learned. And if I'm moving too fast, I'll repeat this a few times, and you can always go back and slow down the video in the video settings so that you can get a good grasp on how to create this slip knot. So while our yarn is laying, take a long piece, you loop the yarn over itself. Okay, this piece that is on top right here, you're going to bring it underneath, put your finger through the loop you brought through, and to get that slip knot. It's huge, but you can always adjust it. Let me show you again. You're going to loop over and then pull a piece through to the other side. Put your finger in there and then just pull these two ends. I'm going to do it again because when I start my projects, I move pretty fast and I want to make sure I'm slowing down for all of you who are beginning. We're going to loop over. Okay, take this part right here, push some yarn in there, put a little loop inside of it, hold your finger and pull through on the other side. Did that make sense? Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is work on how I hold my yarn in tension so that I can work a project. I'm going to show you the correct way to do it, and I'm going to show you two wrong ways of doing it. Not holding the yarn, but having bad tension. Most people, they hold their yarn hook in one hand and they feed the yarn through with the other hand. There's some folks out there who can do it all with one hand. They could do it with, however way that they feed the yarn in, whatever works, works. But for this tutorial, I'm just going to show you the way that I do it if you're following along. So to begin a project, you start with your slip knot, okay? Your slip knot. You put that knot onto the hook, then you pull the two ends tight. Not so tight that the yarn can't move up and down the hook. You don't want it too tight because when you start moving your hook, you want it to be able to slip through that slip knot, that loop right there, the slip knot, okay? So we're going to do that. And the way that I feed my yarn into a project, I thread the yarn through my fingers like so. Some people, they wrap it around their finger like that. Some people, they just, hold it, just loop through one finger. Whichever way works for you is fine. But that comes with practice. Your preference comes with the different ways you can practice doing it. But what works for me to keep my yarn flowing is to feed it through my fingers like so, and use my index finger to guide where I'm going to go with the yarn itself, okay? So I'm going to feed the yarn through my fingers. And to start my project, I'm going to hold my thumb and my middle finger on this knot right here, our slip knot. Okay? Hold this knot so that when I'm feeding the yarn through, I can let it glide through my fingers a little bit at a time. Okay? Let me show you. Hold it right here. This is all this, the way you hold everything has to do with your tension. And we're going to start with a chain, something very simple, a chain. What you will do is bring the yarn over your hook. That's a yarn over. And then you're going to use the hook to pull the yarn through the slip knot. Uh-oh, it was a little too tight there. Yarn over, bring the yarn through the loop of the knot. That's one chain. Let's do it again. Yarn over, pull the yarn through to the other side. Now this is when your tension is too tight and your yarn can't fit through the loop. So I'm going to loosen up my fingers a little bit and yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. And this keeps the rhythm of your chain. If you can figure out a rhythm to your chain, you can have a nice, even chain. Okay, let's start all over again. Maybe I'm moving too fast. Maybe you missed something. Let's try it one more time. We're going to create a slip knot. Pull that yarn through that loop. Pull it through to the other side right there. Put your hook inside the loop. And then you're going to use the two ends to tighten up that loop onto the hook. Not too tight. You want to be able to move the yarn on the hook itself. Now, you have to always remember, don't make your tail so long that you forget which side of the yarn you're working with. You want to work with the side that is feeding from your skein of yarn itself. Okay? Let's not make that mistake. I've done it, but you don't have to do it. Okay? So I'm going to hold my thumb and my middle finger on the knot. I'm going to take my hook and my yarn and yarn over and pull that yarn through that loop. Okay. Now you have one chain and you still have a loop on the hook. Yarn over, pull the yarn through. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. What does it look like when it's going too tight and I'm frustrated and my hands are sweating? Well, let me show you. Pull too tight, yarn over, can't hardly get that hook in the loop to the other side. Barely pulling that hook through. It's just too tight. Yarn splitting, things are going array, nothing feels good. Your tension in your shoulders, your wrists start hurting, your fingers are hurting. How do y'all do this? My hands are already in pain just from making a chain, and that's because you are holding on for dear life. You're holding on too tight. Your tension is entirely too tight. Now, well, let me start my chain again. Okay, now what does it look like when my tension is too loose? Well, let's say I don't feed my yarn through my fingers like I normally do, and I'm just holding on to the yarn, and I want to figure out how am I going to hold it. Okay, so you put your yarn over, and then you try to pull on the other side, and it's just frustrating. And then it's too loose, and then we have no uniformity, and then my chain looks a little crazy, and then I can't fit it through. See what happens when you're not holding it in a way where it can make some sense. Then I'm pulling my hook too far away, because the more I pull my hook, the wider my loop gets. And then my loops start looking like this, and my chain is all kinds of. Okay? It could easily look like this, but fret not. No one expects you to get it correct and perfect on your first tries. So what I would recommend is to practice chaining motions, yarning over, pulling through just enough so that your chain is nice and even. Not pulling too much, pulling just enough so that you are keeping the same size loop throughout the project. Now, you see me switching positions. As you move up the chain, you can adjust your hand to go up further to where your hook and your yarn where you're feeding it is a bit closer. That helps with tension. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. Keep chaining. The chain gets longer and longer and longer. And then you can adjust your hand to hold the yarn even closer. Pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. And if you practice chaining, I want to say what, 5 or 10 minutes, whenever you can, you will develop that muscle memory so that your wrist and your hands practice these motions. These motions is just about the same motion with most stitches for a yarn project. Even if I was yarning over more than once, yarning over, inserting a hook, pulling through, it's all the same motions. And what I would recommend is that you keep your elbows free. You loosen up your hands and your wrists, loosen your grip. and practice your tension, pulling your yarn through. If it gets tight, pull on that yarn out of the skein so that you can easily feed the yarn through your project. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. And I'm trying to make it a little uneven as a display for you guys, but with so much practice, I can't help but to make an even chain. And I'm sure that you're well on your way to making an even chain as well. So these were the four beginning steps to crocheting. We talked about your materials, your yarn and hook, slip knot, holding your yarn, tension, and chaining. If you guys like to see more videos like this for beginners, um, say something in the comments, I guess. Like, share, and subscribe. And I hope to see you guys again. Thank you.